I'm just sat waiting. I've had a chance to be thinking while I'm sat here. I'm thinking of it. This weekend is Darren Moore's second year anniversary in charge of Wednesday. And it's been an interesting 2 years for him. He took over from a Tony Pulis side that registered 1 win in 10. He was then struck down by COVID and stricken to his hospital bed. Was very ill indeed. Came back and we actually took 13 points then. 13 points which would have kept us up if it hadn't been for the financial mismanagement of the club by the chairman and his advisors over a 3-year period. Well, nevertheless, there were plenty of people ready to jump on Darren Moore's back and blame him for the relegation. A lot of that were put down to, fans now, they're from TikTok generation, they want instant results and blah, blah, blah. But when you looked at the people who were most vociferous about him and blaming him and wanted him out almost from the off, they were actually in the older age bracket, sort of people my age and above. People who you would say were probably experienced football fans and should have known that things don't click instantly. And that sort of then led to these old racist fans, and there may well have been an element of that with some people. But if you look at when we went into that second season with Darren Moore in charge, we'd had to do a huge cost-cutting exercise to trim back on wage bill. And with a week to go before the season starting, far from really having a fresh palette to go at it, we'd only got 9 first-team players available. So we were playing the last few games of pre-season with teams made up of under-23 players and trialists. And obviously Moore then had to get his head together with chairman. They got a list of targets and they had to whittle them down to the ones that they could afford. Season then starts and we're going to season. 14 players through the doors in that last 10 days at transfer window. George Byers, Silasol, Lee Gregory, lone players, Shadipo, Peacock Farrell, Corbino, all these players, it was 14 in total. And then they're thrown together and people expect instant results. Now, if you get any cluster of people and you're trying to build a team in any environment, they're not going to click straight away. Not least in football, where people are having to uproot, up sticks, move house, having to find your kids a new school. There's all these things going on. I think we forget that players are human beings sometimes. Then they've got to settle in and fit into the way that the manager wants us to play. So you've got to settle. And then once you've settled, you've got to gel. On top of that, these players have missed nearly all the pre-season. Some of them have not kicked a ball in anger for months. I'm sure they go out jogging and what have you, but there's a huge difference between that and being match fit. And these things take time. Now, we actually started the season pretty well. We got some good results. And then we got a 3-0 pasting down at Plymouth, which really had people going for it jugular. But in actual fact, what that highlighted was Plymouth were a team that had been building for a couple of years. We were a team that had got some really good results, but had been largely thrown together at last minute. And that game sort of highlighted where we wanted to be. And it also showed us what we might be capable of once our players had settled in, once we'd settled down. Now, Moore got accused early doors of tinkering a lot, and it was something that frustrated me. But equally on top of that, we'd had these terrible injury records, and as I said in my last match review, players are more likely to break down when they're not fully fit, so people might come in for 2 games and then get rested for a week while they were building up to that proper match fitness. And Darren Moore there needs huge credit, because the temptation is just to stick with everybody week in, week out, which you can do when everybody's fully fit. But at that stage, with 14 players who had no pre-season, he didn't want to take that chance, and I think he was fully justified in taking that approach. Now, the second half of the season, once we'd settled on a system and players were match fit, they were match sharp, he didn't tinker as much, and we started getting them results. The players were fitter, and we went on a great run at end of season. Ultimately, we were done in playoff semi-finals. We didn't quite have enough to get over the line. But last season really was all about putting them foundations in place for this season. And now, with patience, we're seeing the benefit of all the work that was done last year. So it's his 2-year anniversary this weekend. And overall, I think we've got to say he's done a fantastic job. And I hope that we can keep building on this. I hope everybody's now fully behind him and what he's trying to do. You can see what he's trying to do on the pitch. And this doesn't even take into consideration all the work that's been done off the pitch in terms of the way that we now approach our transfer business, the way that games are analysed and everything else. So, huge credit, 2-year anniversary. And his report from me is so far a B+. Promotion, I think that'll be an A. Right, we're ready. I better get off. See you in a bit.